I'm not saying that we've got all the answers, because we haven't. But I am doing something about it, and even just not following everybody else, yeah, is a good place to start. But at the end of the day, I've been analysing this for years. We're testing kind of different angles, different tech, different behavioural responses to to businesses and from businesses, and looking at, you could say, like ideal strategies that would suit prospects. In other words, the CEOs and buyers that we all want to sell to. I mean, you could say it's quite easy, because it's me just thinking, okay, well, keep looking inwards. You've got to look inwards and understand what you're doing, why you're doing it. Why do I like something? Why do I not like something? What would I do in this kind of situation? What do I like and dislike? What's my reaction? Because the only reason anybody looks at something for our business is to determine if there's going to be a definitive ROI. And if there isn't an ROI, get lost. I'm busy. I'm not interested. As you can see, like the typical campaign thinking is predicated on the consumer market. And technology and pretty much every historic strategy has always been thought of as being reasonably accurate. So the inference is that any kind of failure must be, it's got to be the market. Or it's actually your product is rubbish. Or it's sales related. It's never the strategy. That's it. It's just never the strategy. Nobody ever looks there. And it's about repetition, scale and control. And the factors that come into play for continuity and the reasons to pursue it are decades old. They've just never been exploited in B2B. So you have to start with repetition, because it's the foundation. But it's got to be effortless. You need to let your total addressable market know that you exist, and to do that, you've got to define or establish a method of continuously connecting with them. And so here's something to think about. Say your total addressable market is about 10,000 companies. And if you think about scale, you can only ever reach them by broadcasting. You can't do it any other way. It's physically impossible. You can't call them one at a time, even though everybody's been trying, just to see if they're interested or not. You'll never get there. Not ever. The maths don't work. We know they don't work, and if you watched last week, we did a calculation and it was just absolutely mad. It costs way too much to keep salespeople busy. You need too many BDRs. Go back to 300 to 1. So the whole foundational and initial objective needs to be to teach your total addressable market. They need to know why your product can impact their business. And then they need to be taught how they can implement, execute, and achieve the results that you're saying they can achieve. And to do that, they need to be allowed to self-serve, self-educate, calculate the ROI, and when they're ready, they contact you and they allow them to book a meeting with you directly in their time. Because if they can't learn anonymously, the buyers, and you know this yourself, it's just that ambivalence creeps in when anyone tries to engage with them, especially if they can learn from someone else and they've been being pestered by salespeople. And this way, if you've provided open access content, by the time they contact you, they, can't say this enough, they already know, like, and trust you. All you need to be concerned with is, you could say, maintaining the same professionalism that they experienced when they first saw your website, saw you online, video or live or whatever, because we're looking at this continuous infrastructure from an operational perspective. So all you need to do is orchestrate the influx of appointments. And as long as you can route them to the salespeople wherever they are, could be nationally or anywhere in the world really, but based upon their availability and technical ability and so on. But the critical point is to grasp this change. Before we try to contact our total addressable market one at a time, you need to be in a position to be able to communicate with them at scale every week. You got to, because it could be, if you think about it, you could reach 10, hundreds, thousands. Who knows? Who cares? It's not something to worry about, because if you've got this continuous repetition, you have a continuous repetitive industry infrastructure. And you're constantly seen every day. You're able to educate every day. You're basically open to the possibility of, or I heard it say, you're open to the danger of selling and meeting new prospects every day. And that's why we're in business. That's why we do this selling thing. In the States, people love salespeople. Over in the UK, not so much. But the first place to start, and this is where it starts, I want you to take note. You don't have to do anything. You can just go on, interesting, move on. But the first place to start is to make sure you and your go-to-market team are all working together and pulling in the same direction. And that everybody understands the nature of the problem. And for everybody to understand what the new solution looks like. And I honestly, I cannot stress this problem. It's like the seriousness of this and how important it is for there to be a catalyst for change in B2B. And not just B2B, but the whole thing to do with new business. And that's why we created a course, which is only a first kind of a first phase stage. So we created this course. So you go, okay, well, fine. Here's the pitch. But it's not pitch. I'm not going to segue into some kind of pitch for the course, but it's a game changer though, and you have to think about this. It's like a mental reset for B2B new business development, and it's what BizDev needs. It absolutely needs it desperately, and especially in the current economic climate. Yeah. So the bottom line is, we have all been told what to do or encouraged to do the same thing, which is a 70-year-old strategy. You think about it. Cold calls, one-to-one exposure, adverts that we hopefully that will work. It's not good enough. It's got to change. It has to change. And it can, right now. But and as I hope I've put across, it's not going to take you years of research and testing because we've done it. But the pressure in business and in marketing is intense and deliberate. And we all simply follow, or you could say have followed, our marketing teams. Like I said at the beginning, they're not the entrepreneurs. They're employees to do a job. And it's, you as a CEO, you've got enough stuff to think about. You don't need to become a new, CEO and CMO. But if you're like me, and you look at new business development, and you look at what it costs when it comes to all the marketing, all the ad costs, SaaS costs, recruitment fees, the marketing salaries, 80, 100, 150k, 200k, whatever, and all the other departmental costs that relate to it. But for what? Ends up being like last year's performance or worse. It's actually someone else's performance because they're copying the place where they came from before they came to you. And so it has been and it is virtually impossible to move the needle because we've been sold a pup. We've been and I say we've been misled. And we believe the only way to grow is by, I don't know, employing more people, getting investment, or bugger it, let's just sell out and move on. Another thing as well is customer success. See how many customer success jobs there are? There's loads. And that's only means one or two things. A rise in lots of unhappy customers or an increasing desperation to maintain the annual recurring revenue. Either way, simply, it's just another symptom of the underlying problem, that same problem that exists. So, looking at this, what do I want you to take away from this segment? You can call it a segment, because before we kind of move into that, what continuous infrastructure looks like for your business, you need to kind of decide what it is. And the thing is, if you look at it, you think everything I've shown, everything I've talked about, was achieved by not following the herd, not running campaigns, not buying this, not buying, kicking it out, not using the same MarTech as everyone else, not hiring all the agencies to do the SEO and demand gen, and most 100% no cold calls, no chasing leads. So did the opposite and built what we call a visibility infrastructure and just let it run. And the data, which I've shown you, shows it works 10 to 20 times beyond the industry benchmark. Same market, same competitors, all using the same platform. And I'm not saying I'm bragging or anything. I'm saying it because everyone listening or watching has been told the way for you to grow is the way the rest of the herd grows. More ads, more SDRs, more tools, more agencies, more campaigns. And the result across the B2B industry is telling you very clearly the herd's wrong. I'll put it this way. If me living up as a founder up in Stone in Staffordshire can outperform the benchmarks by an order of magnitude using a system that was most definitely designed and built for this purpose, yeah? The question isn't whether continuous infrastructure is going to work. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I mean, the only thing I can say is stop following the herd. The herd's going to walk you off a cliff. And I've just shown you. The alternative is not theoretical, it's operational. Yeah, right, literally right now, and with the receipts. You can't fake it.